What happens when one of music's biggest legends walks onto a daytime talk show, expecting a friendly chat, only to face an onslaught of personal attacks that cross every line imaginable? It only took 34 seconds of being on air before Denise Welch made a comment so outrageous, so deeply inappropriate that it set off a chain reaction nobody saw coming. This is the story of how Rod Stewart, beloved rock icon, was pushed to his absolute breaking point on live television. Rod Stewart walked onto the Loose Women set that morning with his signature charm and that famous raspy voice, ready to promote his latest album. The studio audience erupted in applause as he made his way to the panel, waving and smiling. He settled into the guest chair, looking relaxed in his sharp suit, ready for what he assumed would be another routine interview about his music, his career, maybe a few laughs about his legendary hair. The panel that day included Denise Welch, who was leading the interview along with Kay Adams, Nadia Salha, and Jane Moore. They all greeted Rod warmly, or so it seemed, but something felt off from the very beginning. Denise had this look in her eyes, this smirk that suggested she had something planned, something that went beyond the usual talk show banter. After the brief introductions and some light applause, Denise wasted absolutely no time. She leaned forward with that smirk still plastered on her face and said, "So, Rod, let's talk about your personal life. You've had quite a few marriages, haven't you? Some people might say you have a bit of a problem with commitment." The audience went quiet. You could feel the tension immediately. Rod's smile faltered for just a moment, but he recovered quickly, trying to keep things light. "Well, Denise, I think when you find love, you pursue it. I've been fortunate enough to find it several times." But Denise wasn't backing down. She pressed on, her voice dripping with condescension. "Fortunate? Is that what we're calling it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks more like a pattern of behavior. How many children do you have again? 8, 9. Hard to keep track, isn't it?" Rod's jaw tightened. You could see him trying to maintain his composure. "I have 8 children, and I'm proud of every single one of them. I'm very involved in all of their lives." Kay Adams jumped in, clearly trying to steer the conversation somewhere safer. "Rod's new album is really fantastic. I've been listening to it all week. Should we talk about the inspiration behind some of the tracks?" But Denise cut her off completely, not even acknowledging that Kay had spoken. "Let's not change the subject just yet. I think the audience would be very interested to know about your relationship with your children's mothers. There's been quite a bit in the press about maintenance payments and legal disputes, hasn't there?" Rod sat up straighter, his face hardening. "I don't think that's appropriate to discuss here. My relationship with my family is private, and those matters were resolved a long time ago." Denise laughed, actually laughed in this cruel, mocking way. "Oh, so now we're too good to discuss things that are public record. You're a public figure, Rod. You put yourself out there. You can't pick and choose what people get to ask you about." Nadia Salha looked uncomfortable, shifting in her seat. She tried to intervene. "Denise, maybe we should focus on the positive. Rod, your career has spanned decades. What keeps you passionate about making music again?" Denise completely ignored her colleague. She was locked under Rod like a predator circling wounded prey. "You know what I find fascinating, Rod? How men like you seem to think you can just move from one woman to the next, father, children all over the place, and then expect everyone to applaud you for being a family man. Do you ever think about the example you're setting?" The audience was dead silent now. This had gone way beyond uncomfortable television. This was brutal. Rod's hands were gripping the armrest of his chair. "Excuse me. Men like me, what exactly does that mean?" Denise leaned back, crossing her arms with this satisfied expression. "You know exactly what it means. Rich, famous men who think the rules don't apply to them, who think they can do whatever they want without consequences." Jane Moore finally spoke up, her voice firm. "Denise, I really think we need to move on. Rod came here to talk about his music, and we're being incredibly rude to our guest. But the damage was already spiraling out of control." Rod's face had gone from shock to genuinely angry. "I came on this show as a courtesy. I've given hundreds of interviews over my career, and I've never ever been spoken to with such disrespect. Who do you think you are?" Denise's eyes lit up. She was enjoying this. "Who do I think I am? I'm a journalist asking legitimate questions. If you can't handle a little scrutiny, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews." Rod stood up slightly, then sat back down, clearly trying to control himself. A little scrutiny. You've done nothing but attack my character since I sat down. You haven't asked me a single question about my album, my tour, my music, nothing. All you've done is try to embarrass me on national television. The other panelists were exchanging worried glances. Kay Adams reached out as if to touch Rod's arm in a calming gesture, but he was too far away. Rod, we really are fans of your work. I think maybe we just got off on the wrong foot here. Denise scoffed. Oh, please, Kay, don't cuddle him. He's a grown man. If he can't handle a few tough questions, that's his problem, not ours. Rod's voice dropped lower, more serious. Tough questions, is that what you call this? Let me ask you something, Denise. How would you feel if I sat here and started dissecting every relationship you've ever had, every mistake you've ever made? Would that be fair? Denise's expression changed slightly. She wasn't smiling anymore. My personal life isn't what we're here to discuss. Rod let out a bitter laugh. Exactly. But mine is. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. Nadia tried once more to salvage the situation. Why don't we take a quick break? When we come back, we can start fresh and talk about the new album properly. But Denise wasn't done. Not even close. She looked directly at Rod with pure venom in her eyes and said, "Before we go to break, I just want to say that I think it's important to hold people accountable. And Rod, you've spent your entire career trading on this image of being this lovable rogue, this charming ladies' man, but at what point do we stop calling it charming and start calling it what it really is? Irresponsible, selfish, narcissistic." The gasps from the audience were audible. Jane Moore put her hand over her mouth. Kay Adams said, "Oh my God, Denise, no." Rod stood up, his face was flushed, his hand shaking slightly with rage. "That is enough. I have sat here and listened to you insult me, disrespect me, and now you're calling me a narcissist on live television. I don't have to take this. I don't have to sit here and be your punching bag so you can feel important." Denise stood up too, matching his energy. "If you want to leave, then leave. Nobody's forcing you to stay, but don't act like the victim here. You're a millionaire who spent decades doing exactly what you want, and now you can't handle one interview where someone asks you real questions." Rod's voice was shaking now, a mixture of anger and hurt. "Real questions? You haven't asked me a single real question. All you've done is attack me. You clearly had an agenda coming into this. You wanted to take me down for some reason, and I'm not going to stand here and let you do it." The producer's voice could be heard off camera, clearly panicked, saying something about going to commercial, but it was too late. This was happening live, and there was no stopping it now. Kay Adams stood up, trying to physically position herself between Rod and Denise. "Please."